Welcome. My name is Dave Isbitsky. I work for Amazon. I am the chief evangelist for Alexa and Echo, and it is my delight to walk you through the world of Alexa Skills Kit and creating your own voice-driven experience. Now, I'm going to give you the basics of what the Alexa ecosystem is about, what the SDKs are about, where you can get started, and then we're going to have some fun. We're actually going to create a skill very quickly. We're going to walk through some code, some interaction models, and we're going to leave you with an idea of what the Alexa Skills Kit can do and the possibilities there are for you to create. So, you may already have an Echo device today. Maybe you have the original Echo that you see here, that big cylinder. Maybe you have the new Dot on the right that allows you to connect to your own speaker system. You could have the Tap on the left. You could have the Fire TV. All of these devices have Alexa inside of them. And Alexa is Amazon's voice service that can take natural spoken language from a human being like you and me and can break apart that speech into something that a computer program can understand. And so what we do is we'll actually create the ability for you to think programmatically. So you use functions and arguments in any coding language that you would like. And in essence, you're doing cloud communication back and forth. So you are extending and making Alexa smarter by teaching her new skills. These are voice-driven applications, and they're all part of the Alexa Skills Kit. Now, as you start to use the Alexa Skills Kit, you may find or hear about another SDK. There's actually two, and I want to point that out here. What you're seeing on the left is the Alexa Skills Kit. So this is what's going to allow you to write those applications. What's on the right is the Alexa Voice Service, and the Alexa Voice Service allows you to put Alexa in things. So you can put Alexa into an iPhone app, an Android app. You may have read in the news that Alexa is now in automobiles, refrigerators, houses, stereo systems. Everywhere that Alexa gets integrated, your skills will also run. The Alexa voice service itself sits up in the cloud, and then we provide for you all of the things that you need in order to understand speech. So natural language understanding capabilities, ASR, speech recognition, and the ability for Alexa to continually learn and get better and better. So all that computer science behind, generating a language model and a lexicon, we do all of that for you for free. And you, as a developer, can think in terms of functions and arguments. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, all right, I know I want to write a skill, and where do I start? So just a little bit of advice. As you're creating, you don't need to create that end-all, be-all of a skill. I want you to think of voice as another user interface. We have mobile interfaces, we have web interfaces, desktop interfaces. Voice doesn't need to replace any of those. Voice can be a way to do some of the most common tasks. For example, if I want to order my Domino's pizza or order an Uber ride, it's a lot easier to just ask for that in one sentence than it is to take out a mobile application. So I want you to think in terms of starting to crawl, walking, and then running. And today I would say you have the functionality in our SDKs to crawl and walk, and we're going to continue to iterate so we can all get to that running point to create these experiences. So that's the Alexa Skills Kit. You can get that kit by going to developer.amazon.com, and you'll see plenty of information on Alexa. Let's look at actually creating one of these. What do I need to create, and what does Amazon provide? So there's two things that you need to think about. The first is configuration data. So if you've written a mobile application before, perhaps you've written a mobile app for the Amazon App Store, then this portal will be very familiar for you. This is a portal that's completely free to sign up. If you've used any of the other mobile services, so for example, log in with Amazon or maybe our ad network, It's very, very similar. You're going to go in there, you're going to provide application metadata. So you're going to tell us about your skill. You're going to give us a description for your skill, an icon for your skill, and you're going to provide information about how a person could use your skill. You're also going to provide something that we call an interaction model. And an interaction model will provide Alexa with boundaries. She's going to tell her what type of conversation you're going to have. She's going to understand the things that will be said in that conversation. And then you're going to provide a way for her to match conversation to functions that you provide. And I'm going to walk you through that, exactly how you create that, and give you some tips too. And then the second part of creating an Alexa skill is the hosted service itself. Now, this service, this can be hosted anywhere. Obviously, if you're going to release it to the millions of people that can use your Alexa skill today, you don't want it on a laptop on your desk. But if you are going to create an Alexa skill just for your own Echo, or maybe in your own house, or maybe you're just tinkering around with drones and robots and a Raspberry Pi, and you just want to add voice, you can completely do that on your own device. So you decide where you want to host this service. As long as you can reach out to the internet, you can communicate securely using SSL over port 443, you can create your hosted service. Now, when we go to the developer portal, we need to create the interaction model that I talked about. And the interaction model will consist of two things. The first is the intent schema. So what you can see over here on the left is a JSON object. And this JSON object will have intents that I will allow Alexa to respond to, and it will have data types. So this happens to be an example from a skill I wrote that would allow you to ask about Commodore computers. Commodore was a company from the 80s and 90s. If you wanted to ask, what year was the Commodore 64 available, or what Commodore computers were available in 1989, Alexa can answer that. And if you look over here on the left at the actual code, you'll see I have one function called getComputer, and that function has a slot. That slot I've named model, but that type is actually a type I've created myself. So this is just like custom classes that you create in any programming language that you're used to today. Now, we also have internal types that we provide for you. And internal types do the magic of taking real human language and converting them into a programmatic data type. So for example, if I said, what were the computers 10 years ago? Alexa has intelligence that she'll take 10 years ago and she'll convert that to a programmatic date for you using an Amazon.date. So you would see something from 2006. Now, creating custom slots is as easy as providing values. So you can see here for models, here's a bunch of computer models that I'm putting in here. You can have up to 50,000 values here, as long as these values are break delimited. So think of different scenarios, whether it's anything from fitness to finance to computers or games. If there's a specific type of language that's being used, a specific type of variable information that's going to be in there, you can go ahead and you can provide your own data type for this. And what this is doing under the covers is that you're giving Alexa her best chance to match what's being asked. And that is why when you use a device, if you've used an Echo before, or you've used any Alexa-enabled device, you don't have to say exactly what you're asking for. She can understand the intent behind it. And by having all of these custom slots and creating this interaction model, all of this will increase the accuracy so that your skill has a very good experience. Now, the last part of the interaction model is built-in intents and sample utterances. So built-in intents give you the ability to add on to your existing intents. So here you can see another example. It has two: get first event intent and get next event intent. But then you see these Amazon dot help intent and stop intent and all of these types. And what you should do is to think about intents programmatically like events here. So if I have a Amazon.help intent, what that means is if someone is using my skill and they say, Alexa, help, I have no idea how to do this, or they say, Alexa, help, how do I ask for a computer in 1989? That event will be sent to you. So we do all the computer science of figuring out how people ask for help, how people tell Alexa to stop. People tell Alexa to cancel things. Some people even say, Alexa, shut up, right? You don't need to understand how all of that happens. We do that for you, and we simply send you an event. So in your favorite language, in your cloud service, you're going to look for an intent type called stop intent. Now we have all of these intents set up. We're matching events to functions. We're creating programmatic data types that will go ahead and be matched to things that people are using in speech. The last part of this is to give Alexa some examples. So if you have, if you have young ones at home and they're just starting to learn how to speak, you may say, use that in the sentence, right? Or if you look back and you remember in grade school, the teacher would say, well, use this in a sentence. You have context clues, you have nouns and verbs and adjectives. That is what you do with a sample utterance. So you can see here at the bottom, get horoscope is an intent, sign was one of those slot values, and everything else in there is just an example of how somebody would use that. So what is the horoscope for? Pisces is the actual value, but I could have easily have said, show me the horoscope for. So as human beings, we do change our words around. In fact, when you start to test your skills out, you're going to see you will use many different words in all sorts of orders continually. Very rarely do I ask for the same thing twice in the same way. So Alexa needs to be able to handle that. The more sample utterances you provide, the better the accuracy, because she will actually learn how to match that language to a specific intent. Okay, so we've gotten to the point where we understand a little bit about the SDKs that are out there for Alexa. We know where to get them. We know we're going to build this thing called an interaction model, and I know I need to host this service somewhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create an actual Alexa skill. I'm going to use Amazon Web Services, and inside Amazon Web Services, we have a Lambda compute service. Now, a Lambda compute service allows you to just run code. You don't have to worry about EC2 instances or S3 storage or any of that. You just have a bunch of code in there. And in fact, if you do not have a cloud provider and you are looking to host an Alexa skill, Alexa skills you can host for free every month up to 1 million transactions. So let's go ahead and jump out of here. I'm going to go ahead into Lambda. Now, if you don't have an AWS window and you want to know how I got there, I'm going to go up here to the top. You can see I'm in my AWS console. I'm going to click on Lambda. And then I have the ability to create functions here. So we're going to say, create a Lambda function. And I'm going to go over here to the filter. I'm going to type in Alexa. And you'll notice we're going to get a couple of different examples here because Alexa can also do smart home skills. She can do skills for anything that you're looking to do, games, entertainment, trivia. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to use one of these built-in templates using Node.js. You'll notice here there's a couple other languages too. Some of these have Java. I'm going to pick Node.js, so this one right here, and the Alexa Skills Color Expert. And the Alexa Skills Kit Color Expert is a Hello World example that allows Alexa to learn our favorite color. So I can ask Alexa what my favorite color is. If she doesn't know, she'll ask me. I tell her. It stores everything into a session variable, and then she'll be able to spit that back. So let's go ahead and say Alexa Skills Kit Expert. We're going to pick an event source. Now, an event source type is important for Lambda because this is what's going to set up the secure communication. So if you are creating your own cloud service, you will need to provide an SSL cert. If you are using Lambda, you will not need to do that step. You can simply click on the event source types. We're going to say next. We're just going to say this is my color picker. You do have the, let's say webinar. You do have the ability to pick different runtimes here. So you'll see Java and Python. We're going to stick with Node.js 4.3. You're going to get a built-in IDE. This IDE does not allow a lot of text. In fact, you'll find uploading a zip is probably easiest for you, or uploading a zip to an S3 bucket. So maybe you have in your IDE, maybe you're using the AWS command line tools and you're just pushing things up. You have the ability to do both of those as well. Just some simple Node.js here. We're coming through and we're looking for launch requests. So you can see right here the type of requests being sent. But what I really want you to look at is down here at the bottom, in that we are generating plain JSON. So I'm going to put out a version that says 1.0. I'm going to have text for what I actually want to say, so text to speech. And then I have the ability to display a simple card. And you can do a simple card, which is text, or you can do a standard card, which has the ability to do an image. But that's it. This is just the language of the web. I'm doing JSON here. I'm going to give it a basic execution role. Doesn't need any additional permissions, and Node usually runs very lean. We don't need to raise the memory more than 128. So let's hit next. We'll verify everything. Event sources, Lambda function. We're going to hit create function. And you'll notice up here, I got an Amazon resource name. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this for when we go into the developer portal. And then the first thing we want to do, like any type of coding we would do, is we want to test and ensure that our server-side code in Lambda now is actually working. So let's go over to Actions. We're going to click on Configure Test Event. We're going to go to the sample template, and you'll see we have Alexa ones right here up at the top. And I'm going to pick one for my color is. So this would be an intent that we're going to define called my color is intent, and then we would provide the color. So I'm going to change that to say black, which happens to be my favorite color. And we'll save and test. And then if we scroll down here to the bottom, we get a little test window. So you can see this is the actual JSON being returned. It has a session attribute of black. It has a response output speech object of plain text. So you can actually modulate and change the way Alexa says things using SSML. We're just using plain text in this example. And we're going to have her say, I now know your favorite color is black. And you can see that's been returned in a card. And then should we end the session? So if we did end the session, and if you have an echo, you've probably seen that light, this would actually close the session and the conversation would be over. We also have the ability here to click and look at this in a CloudWatch log group. So if you have an existing AWS account, you'll see that there. Let's jump over now into the portal. And you know what? I'm gonna start off at the beginning in case you're following along with just developer.amazon.com. You have the ability to click into the developer console. So let's go here so you could see. So here's Ask. Up at the top is how we get there. So we're going to click on Developer Console. If you don't have an account, no worries. It's free to sign up. Only takes 2 minutes. We're going to come over here to Alexa. You see that tab? We're going to click on that. And then we're given 2 options. So Alexa Skills Kit is the option that we want today. Alexa Voice Service, remember there's 2 SDKs. Alexa Voice Service is the SDK I mentioned for putting Alexa into things, whether that's devices or apps. We're going to come over here up at the top, and we're going to click Add a New Skill. And we'll call this skill Color Picker Webinar. We want to ensure it is the custom interaction model. You do have the ability to create a smart home skill where we provide the interaction model, but that is beyond the scope of this brief demo today. So we're going to just pick custom interaction model, and we're going to pick an invocation name. So this will be the actual name that somebody says. So we're going to just say my color picker. Actually, we'll just say webinar color picker. So in this example, if I had an Alexa device, I would say, Alexa, open webinar color picker, and this skill would be launched. Let's hit next. And now we need to define that interaction model I talked about before. And so the first step, if you remember, is the intent schema. You can pull all of this from the Getting Started guide, and there's a walkthrough there for getting information. I've actually just copied it over here to make things go quicker. I'm going to bring this over. And here is my intent schema. So I have one function, my color is intent, where I send a color. And that is going to have a custom type, list of colors. We also have another function where we can ask for what a color is, and we're going to name that what's my color intent. And then if you recall, you have the ability to include events in here that may happen. So if somebody asks for help, we'll be able to capture that by including an Amazon.help intent. Now, we need to add that custom slot value that you see here for color. We'll click Add. We'll say List of Colors. And we'll put in some colors here. So we'll say black, blue, red, green, orange, pink, purple, yellow, white. Okay. We'll hit OK. And now you'll see a pipe delimited string here. So that is all set up, and Alexa will always try and match to one of these colors first when she hears someone tell her her favorite color. The last piece, this is the use it in a sentence piece, is the sample utterances. So let's copy those over. And notice here, the what's my color intent has a lot of sample utterances compared to the my color is intent only having one. And that is because the my favorite color is using a custom slot type. So Alexa knows it's going to be one of these values most likely. So you don't need to teach her a lot about the possible values. But something like what's my color intent, where anybody could ask for that any way that they want, we need to provide a lot of examples. So my color, what's my color, what is my favorite color, give me, yes, yep, sure. And this is where the art merges with the computer science. You will find, depending on the type of intents you have, whether you're using built-in types or custom slots, how you go about doing your sample utterances is very important. And this will affect how well Alexa can understand what is being asked. So let's hit next. And if you remember, we did this with Lambda. So let's come back over here. Let's copy our resource name. We'll put this in. And you'll see our interaction model. We got the nice little checkbox here on the wizard. Our skill information, we got the checkbox. And we're going to say we are not doing any account linking today. Account linking gives you the ability to, using OAuth, tie to an existing customer account. So if you have an account, for example, when I mentioned Domino's before, your Domino's account you can link to. If you're using Pandora on your Echo, same exact technology you can use within your own skill. Let's hit next. And what you'll see here is I have Alexa ask webinar color picker. Now, if you have an Echo device, as long as you're logged into your Echo device with the same email that you have here for your developer account, you can immediately begin testing on your Echo. So that's why we have a little message here. Now, I don't have the ability to have you listen in today on the webinar of an Echo device, but I do have this handy little tool here we've created for you called a service simulator. And now a service simulator will allow you to type in the text that you would actually speak to, for example, an Echo device, and then you can see the response coming back from your service as well as hear Alexa speak. So we're going to put in here, what is my favorite color? And you'll see here is the JSON that was sent to our cloud service. This is an actual intent request. It is what's my color intent, because I'm asking what my favorite color is. So we know our sample utterances are matching. It did not try and convert that to something where we're telling the color. And then here is the response coming from Lambda in real time. If I hit this button here, you would hear Alexa speak this text. And now let's look and test if we were actually going to say our favorite color. So if I say, my favorite color is black, and I say ask color pick webinar, notice here Alexa was able to match to the my color is intent slot. And over here she says, I now know your favorite color is black. So Alexa has been set up inside the portal, and she now has the ability to understand the types of conversations that we would have with her in our skill. She understands the value types. So for example, we created a list of colors, and we have a live service running up in AWS that we created in just a couple of minutes, where we can communicate back and forth, sending JSON securely. I want to thank you for joining today's webinar and a look at the Alexa Skills Kit.